Sibingelele egameni elihle likaYesu Kristu. Size namhlanje, we have come today to discuss something that occurred during the week involving an American by the name of Charlie K. The man normally went around campuses, university, campuses, to hold debates, with students. He was a very well-known apologist, around the world, and his movement that he started and the organization that he led, Turning Point, were deeply influential in the American society and across the world. So what happened is that I think on Wednesday he was assassinated whilst delivering these types of debate in Utah University there in America. So he was assassinated in front of 3,000 people. It was a very tragic event, horrible. No person deserved to die like that, especially now having to, having the videos, all over social media, the wife, the children, his family and his loved ones going to have to live with that. That was horrible, and it sort of revealed the violent culture that is there in America. Now is that now something happened is that when the guy was assassinated, people began trying to passing condolences to the families. But there was a group of Christians who were saying, now this man was killed for Christianity, was Christian Matyr. And that's where the problem is, them regarding this man as a Christian Matyr. This man said as it is, in terms of how he died. But this man was a racist right-winger. A racist right-winger. He was deeply conservative. He was a friend of Donald Trump. He was part of, the conservative evangelical movement of America, Christian nationalism. He was a person who advocated for the lies of there being a white genocide in South Africa. He died in that dishonesty. He was a deeply dishonest people. This was the man who is on public, saying that, black women do not have much brain power. And even said that the reason why some of them occupy the position that they occupy is because another white person had to be, laid out so that he or she can make a space for black people. Even though these black women worked for what they had, he was so and he made many people to be very angry, by the things that he said. He painted South Africa as this evil, violent nation, and sort of like tabbed to the racist right-wingers of South Africa, which, if you can simply look at much of the white reformed churches in South Africa, all of them were mourning this guy. And these are the same people who are busy with the white genocide myth, which is non-existing. So he was also influential in South Africa in the sense that he was reintroducing again the racist right-wing ideas. These were the ideas that were responsible for the killing of Bantu Biko. They were responsible for the slow poisoning of Sobukwe. They were responsible for the parcel bombing of Tiro and many other native South African heroes. The people who were behind their killing were white men, racist, right-wing, and Christian, and the type of Christianity that they believe in was Christian nationalism. And this man stood for those type of people. He stood for that kind of tradition. White, male, racist, right-winger, and Christian. And by Christian, it's Christian nationalism. He was deeply involved, with Trump, the MAGA movement, which was deeply concerned with re-establishing America's hegemony in the entire world, because that's what Trump is currently doing. As a friend of Trump is also part of the people who promote this white genocide myth that they say is currently taking place in South Africa. If we still remember, in the early this year, the president took some politicians and business people here in South Africa, where they went into the White House, and part of the discussion was this white genocide which is currently happening in South Africa. And after that, South Africa is currently going through tariffs because of the claim that we are genociding white people. And people such as those who are involved with the Cape Independence thing and AfriForum, Solidarity Movement, racist right-wingers, loved this guy. They loved Charlie Kirk, and he also loved them. He even said that one time that he's never going to come to South Africa. South Africa is just a country that is violent. White people can't even walk on the street. They have to use armored vehicles to move around because they will get killed by, the blacks, which are in South Africa, and all of that. And he went around painting black people as these violent, types of human beings. And he was doing that, especially speaking with many of those white students within white neighborhoods. And, shockingly, he was shot down by another white guy. He was shot down by a white boy, 22 years. He was 31. This boy was 22 years. It has been discovered lately that this young boy was, into this transgender, type of things. This young boy was dating this transgender. And this young boy grew up within a conservative, Republican, Trump-supporting family. And later on was radicalized, within those type of universities. And this is the guy, this is the boy who shot this Charlie K. And he died for political reasons. People should know that. Because after they found that the roommate, who also was a partner of this young boy, was a transgender, which is a man transitioning to be a female. What you discover there is what is motive. So this Charlie Kirk was killed because this guy did not like his anti-LGBTQ type of, position. So he was killed for political reasons, because within the American, environment, you do know that within the conservative Republican circles, those people are anti-LGBT, many of them, but that doesn't mean that just because one is anti-LGBT and all of this kind of stuff, therefore that person is a Christian. And just because someone says he's a Christian doesn't make him to be a Christian, because as I said, the people who were responsible for British imperialism, apartheid in South Africa, were the very same people who were white, male, racist, right-wingers, and Christian, the type of Christian nationalism which also Charlie Kirk advocated for. So this man was, we are not sort of like, especially here in South Africa, you have many within the reform circles who are trying to push this guy down on our throats as if he was some sort of like a Christian Matyr. And currently I think they will want to use this guy to try to reintroduce these conservative, racist, right-wing ideas, and they are all going to do them in the name of Christianity, wearing Christian clothes, and that's what they are trying to do. This is why now you are having people within the churches, especially white conservative circles, supporting movements such as your Cape Independence and your AfriForums. These guys want to re-establish their dominance. They want to go back to the good old days, and people such as your Charlie Kirk were those types who sort of like made those voices heard, because they had huge platforms which they were using to then push this type of ideas. And he was also influential among the young students. You can imagine someone with those type of racist ideas being influential to the young students. Those students, especially white boys, those white boys are going to grow, and then they are going to be involved, in politics, economics, and all types of, governments. And then those type of white boys will be the very same white boys who will be, imposing tariffs in the future on South Africa, influenced by this Charlie Kirk, who was also having an anti-South African position. Remember, South Africa is also taking Israel to the ICJ because of, the genocide case. This Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel. South Africa has been, up in arms, showing that, there is no white genocide. This is just something which has been made up by these bitter white people who still want to rule this land. And this Charlie Kirk is coming. He died in dishonesty. Here's this Charlie Kirk coming saying there is a white genocide in South Africa. South African black men are evil. They are violent. They kill white people and all this type of things. So you cannot then expect South Africans to be celebrating this type of guy, and even considering, even worse, considering this type of guy as a Christian Matyr. It is painful how he died. He was not supposed to die like that. I think there should have been more ways to engage, because there are guys who were very good, who could engage him, to which sometimes he will shut them out in his rallies. There should be more of those type of efforts. For him to be shot like that, and now his children have to be looking at those type of things, it's not a pretty picture. But let us not be fooled in trying to humanize a white supremacist. You cannot humanize a white supremacist. If you want to talk about his legacy, you have to talk about his legacy the way it is. And for South Africa, his legacy is horrible, because he really tried to paint the worst picture of this country. He really tried to paint the worst picture of black people who are still struggling with historical marginalization and oppression. And then here this guy comes with his huge platform, also demonizing us even further, and also emboldening the enemies of this country, such as your AfriForum and the Cape Independence Movement. So this guy, no, he was not a Christian. He lived as an unbeliever, a guy who died in habitual dishonesty. So he can't be celebrated in South Africa. Sorry, in fact, not sorry. So yeah, those are just our thoughts as Nubian with regards to this man that many Christians in South Africa were mourning. You know, we saw on WhatsApps, on Facebook, you know, Christian mourning this guy. So no, he was anti-Christian the way I see it, because you cannot claim to love Christ and live in habitual lies and the demonization of other people. He even died, you know, even before he died, he was still speaking horrible things about black people. So those are just our opinions. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you.